Hey everyone, I'm back. So sorry for not recording for the last uploading for the last 4 or 5 days. I was trying to record a video on the Cubs trade deadline moves. If you're a Cubs fan or if you're a baseball fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about and why it is so hard for me to record as a Cubs fan. So yeah, that kind of just seeped over into me not being really able to record anything else. So here we are. But I did want to talk about trade deadline stuff because, or not trade deadline, free agency stuff because, I'm a Bulls fan. We had a great free agency, and I'm going to talk about that when we get there. I found this website. I believe I'm on hoopshype.com if you wanted to check it out. Um, where it's organizing all the team signings it's showing every single free agency signing and it's organizing it by team. So I'm gonna go down this list, talk about what I think about all the signings, and I'm gonna try to keep it brief because there are quite a bit of signings. So as you can see here, it's the Atlanta Hawks. So they signed DeLon Wright and Gorgui Dieng. I think those are both really good signings. DeLon Wright is a good player. He's gonna be making 8.5 million, which is, I think it's good. He's a really good player. Um, I don't know why the Kings didn't keep him. Oh, it's a trade. Well, that's embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, I think it is part of that whole Tristan Thompson, Chris Dunn, Tristan Thompson, Chris Dunn. Forgot who else was in it, but that whole like 3-team trade. So yeah, pretty good trade. And then Gorgui Dieng, I liked him. I kind of wanted him to come to the Bulls. He's a good veteran big man, someone who the Bulls kind of needed. We just needed backup center, so I kind of wanted him to come back, or I wanted him to come to Chicago. But good signing for the Hawks, especially having him behind Clint Capella would be a really good big man duo or big man core. And sorry if I sound a little, before I go on, sorry if I sound a little out of touch or out of source or whatever in this video. I'm watching Team USA versus Spain right now. Damian Lillard just scored a point to make it 41-35, so you can tell about what time I'm recording. It's 12:15 Central, so yeah. Anyways, let's go on. Trae Young, he signed a max extension or a and I think it has a possibility to become a super max if he meets the requirements, which I think is like MVP or All-Star, right? Could be wrong if I don't know the super max requirements, but 5 years, 172 million right now. It's a very good deal. Trae Young is just a really good player. I don't know what else there is to say. He deserves it. Similar to like how Donovan Mitchell and all of those Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum got their like max rookie extensions last year. They deserve it. Nothing else to say. Then Solomon Hill, yeah, again, good bench guy. I saw like when he posted like "Let's get Atlanta" on his Twitter or something like that. A bunch of Lakers fans were attacking him, something like that. I'm gonna digress, but kind of stupid. But yeah, Solomon Hill, he's a good player. He didn't intentionally injure LeBron. Let's go on to the Celtics. So yeah, I think I might have already talked about that Al Horford trade. I don't think did they get anyone except for what is in that on those trades? Not really, no. Oh wait, no, they got no, they didn't get Evan Fournier. They lost him. So yeah, I don't think anything big happened with the Celtics. I talked about that Horford trade. Oh, they got Josh Richardson. I don't know if that's a trade, but I'm pretty sure they signed him. But I don't know. Celtics didn't really do that many big moves. I think they really wanted Lonzo, but I saw some drama coming out about how the agent that Lonzo has, he doesn't want any of his players to go to the Celtics. So I mean, that's kind of crazy. But I mean, whatever. Nothing else to say. I mean, Chris Dunn, he's I like, as a Bulls fan, I kind of liked him on Chicago, but he didn't play for like half of his last season, and he played like 2 games in the playoffs last year for the Hawks. So I don't really know what he's like now. Then Bruno Fernando as well. He's pretty good. I mean, I don't really know what to say. Yeah, I mean they lost a bunch of people and they didn't gain a lot of people. I don't really know how they're gonna do next year. Um, yeah, I honestly like have no idea what to say about their directions. It's like it's reminding me a lot of what the Heat did last year, where where everyone around the Heat got way better, but the Heat decided to like the Heat decided to just keep their team that Heat decided to keep their bubble finals team, which clearly didn't work out because they got swept by the Bucks in the first round. So I don't really know what to say. But yeah, let us move on to the Brooklyn Nets. They got Javon Carter. I really like that trade. I think they only got Javon Carter in exchange for a second, and I'm gonna get the details of that trade. Yeah, they traded Landry Shamet for Javon Carter and the 29th overall pick, which ended up becoming Day'Ron Sharp. Don't know. I don't know much about the. I didn't know much about the draft this year except for Iota Shunmu and the like first 5 or 6 people. So don't really know what to say. But I mean, I like Javon Carter a lot. Good defensive talent. I think he's going to be good for the Nets, especially considering they have zero defense. They also re-signed Blake Griffin. They didn't reveal the contract, like how much money he's making, but I'm guessing it's going to be another vet minimum or something similar. Um, I like it. I mean, Blake Griffin ended up being the team's starting center for after after they signed him, right? Like for most of the playoffs, he was our starting center. So good re-signing, and he was actually pretty good. Not like insane like Lob City Clippers Blake Griffin, but still pretty good. Losing Jeff Green is going to be huge. Because just big vet guy. He did really good at the playoffs too, especially with Harden and Kyrie out. So that's gonna be something to watch. That whole depth, and I think yeah. And they also lost Dinwiddie, but he's injured last year, so I don't think he was staying anyways because he knew he was gonna, if he came back to the Nets, he would have to face a diminished role. Go on to the Hornets. A lot of news with the Hornets. They lost. You can see down there. Vontae went to. He didn't go to Oklahoma City. He went to the Pelicans, I believe. We'll see it later if it comes up. But they got Mason Plumlee. I don't know what to say. Again, another center. Losing Malik Monk is gonna be huge. But that's about it. I think Cody Zeller too. He was pretty good, but I mean, I think they got Mason Plumlee in as Mason Plumlee will serve as an adequate replacement for Cody Zeller. So I don't think they're gonna lament the loss of Zeller too much. But losing, and also they have a bunch of depth, guard depth with, especially with Lonzo coming in and just performing the way he did. So I get why they let Malik Monk go, and then Devontae Graham. I think they did a sign and trade for. I could be wrong with that, but yeah. Move on to the Bulls, which I will talk about so much. Pretty big names, as you can see here. Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. I love these signings. I've been calling for Lonzo to be signed to the Bulls ever since pretty much the beginning of the season, of the 2019-2020 season. He's exactly what the Bulls needed. He's a true point guard. I think he's had 70 or something, a bunch of 10 plus assist games since he got drafted, while the Bulls have only had 27. It's some stat that Bleacher Report put out. He's perfect, and he has good defense, which the team desperately needs. I'm watching Team USA right now again. You can see that Zach LaVine is doing pretty good on defense, but I mean, you can't bank on Zach LaVine for literally everything on the team, right? Lonzo's good. He also shot 40% from three, or was that? No, that is Caruso, actually, sorry. But really good pickup. Really one I wanted. And plus 4 years for $85 million is a steal, honestly. Plus we only had to trade Thomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple, which is amazing. I'm very happy for that. And then the Alex Caruso signing, I absolutely love it as well. 4 years for $37 million is coming just over $9 million per year, which is less than Sato's cap hit, which is amazing. I really like the Alex Caruso signing because I think he's going to become a sixth man for us, especially because we missed out on Rose. I really wanted Derrick Rose for 2 reasons. One, he elevated that Knicks team to playoff contenders, and in the playoffs, he was pretty much the only player on that team. Everyone else disappeared, especially Julius Randle. But yeah, and also I just wanted him because Chicago. He's quite literally my favorite player of all time. So I really wanted him back. But I mean, he re-signed with the Knicks. We can talk about that later. But we got Alex Caruso instead again. He's a really good 3-and-D guy. And he's just a good point guard. Bulls last year, they had Kobe starting at the point guard when he's very clearly a 2 guard. So this is good. Adding Lonzo and Caruso allows us to have a backcourt, starting backcourt of Lonzo and Zach LaVine, and then a bench backcourt of Caruso and Kobe, which is amazing. Then when we drafted Io, he's pretty much coming up as the cleanup guard. He can play both point and shooting guard, so I love it. Future of the Bulls sounds good. Something interesting to point out is the RFA status of Lauri Markkanen. I'm not going to speak on it yet because it hasn't happened, but I've seen that the Bulls and the Spurs are in talks for Lauri Markkanen to be traded there, and the Bulls are interested in DeMar DeRozan, so I don't know. Again, nothing's official yet, so I'm not going to speak on it yet. But I mean, if that happens, that's going to be really good for the Bulls. We also lost Daniel Tice to Houston, but we did get something out of that. I'm not even going to pretend how the cap works, but I saw something about mid-level exceptions or trade exceptions. Basically, all I know is that like something with trading sign and trade. It is a sign and trade with Tice to Houston, and that allowed us to get Caruso with it. It gave us extra cap space to sign Caruso. I think that's what happened. Again, I don't really know. Not exactly sure the whole details of it because NBA cap is very confusing to me, but pretty much, even though we lost Tice, we got something out of it in getting cap space for Alex Caruso, which is really good. Let's move on to the Cavs. Ricky Rubio they signed. Pretty good signing. He's a good point guard. He's balling out in the Olympics right now. Like I said, I'm watching it right now, but he's balling out in the Olympics pretty good. And then Jared Allen, 5 years for $100 million extension. Yeah. I kind of think it's an overpay. Like, Jared Allen is really good. I understand why the Cavs wanted to keep him because he's pretty much like, he is the best player on their team right now, in my honest opinion. You could argue Colin Sexton is better, but I think there's been some rumors of him being traded, so I don't really know. But yeah, kind of an overpay, but I mean, it's kind of like a desperate measure they had to take to keep him. It's the same thing with like the Gobert extension last year, the year before, where it's like the curse of the small market team pretty much. Not really related to this video, but I get why. Still, I think it's an overpay though. Then, yeah, nothing else to talk about with the Cavs. Then with the Dallas Mavericks, they made a lot of moves. Brought back Tim Hardaway and Boban, and signed Moses Brown, Sterling Brown, and Reggie Bullock. Or rather, they traded for Moses Brown. But I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what to say about the signings. I like Hardaway and Boban were really good for the Mavericks last year. Reggie Bullock was pretty good for the Knicks. Kind of a big loss for the Knicks. I think he ended up becoming their starting small forward. Reggie Bullock did. But I forgot who they signed. We'll get to there. We'll get to that point we'll get to their bridge once we cross it or whatever. Still like good signings. I think the Mavericks are just trying their best to build around Luka because they made Luka's made it very clear that he's the future. Like there's nothing else to say there. Yeah, that's about it. And then let's move on to the Nuggets. They signed Jeff Green, brought back Will Barton, JaMychal Green, and Austin Rivers. I'm not going to talk about the re-signings. Like Nuggets, like Will Barton, Green, and Rivers were all really good for the Nuggets last year. That Jeff Green pickup, though, is really good. Like, amazing. He was a great veteran presence for the Nets last year. I think he ended up also being their starting two guard after Harden got injured, and he like helped win them a game, helped win the Nets a game. Again, I don't really remember now. It's been quite a long time, and I've had a lot of stuff to do since then, but he's still good. Plus, the veteran presence will kind of help further develop Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. However much more development they need, they've already been like performing at elite levels, but he's also just a good like offensive spark plug, offensive and pretty good defensive presence on off the bench. So I really like this pickup. I think it's just like a signing to like get them over the top, like like just give them more like guard depth because they clearly suffered after Jamal Murray got injured, and I think he tore his ACL, right? So after he tore his ACL, you could tell like they just weren't the same team. Like of course they won, but I think Jeff Green, God forbid if anything like that were to happen again, the signing of Jeff Green would help a lot in making it more manageable for the Nuggets. Then onto the Pistons. Yikes. I'm gonna be honest. They brought back Corey Joseph on a $10 million, 2 years at $5 million at a $5 million cap hit, and then they signed Kelly Olynyk and Trey Lyles. I really don't like these signings. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, there weren't really any better free agents for them to pick from, but honestly, like you drafted like a generational talent in Cade Cunningham. You're gonna greet him with a packet with the core of Kelly Olynyk, Trey Lyles, and Corey Joseph. That I don't get it. Like again, like I said, I know why they had to do it. They had to sign players. They just needed a brand new roster pretty much. But honestly, like, I don't know who else they could have signed on. I still don't like these signings for Cade Cunningham. Honestly, can't really describe why. Just like, Corey Joseph, he's really not that good a player. I don't think he's a $5 million player. Kelly Olynyk, he had some good games in Houston, but again, like 3 for 37 is kind of steep. I don't know. At least Jeremy Grant is still there. He's still really good. So I guess Jeremy Grant can kind of help Cade around, I guess. No clue. On to the Warriors. They signed Otto Porter, and they haven't like re-signed Oubre, Jordan Bell, Nico Mannion, or Smiley. They lost Kent Bazemore to the Lakers. I'm gonna go on about the Lakers when we get there. But I really don't. I really, yeah. Listen, okay. I'm a Bulls fan, so I know Otto Porter more than anyone, or maybe Wizards fans do too. But I mean, they didn't announce how much this contract was. I think it just came out like right as I started recording this video that Otto was signing with the Warriors, like they reached an agreement or something. But either way, like, he's just not a good player. Like, I saw someone saying like he's gonna boost the Warriors off the bench or something. You're gonna think that. I'm gonna be honest. Otto with the Bulls this season, he had some good games. He was performing a little, but then he started getting injured a bunch again. That's the problem with him. He just can't stay healthy. Like, he'll show flashes of brilliance, and then all of a sudden he'll just get injured again. But you know what? I do think he'll be really good to help. He'll be really good to help Klay Thompson. Hopefully he comes back. So like, having Otto and Wiggins there will maybe help reduce Klay Thompson's minutes. Like he can fully get adjusted back on the court because he's missed 2 full seasons now, right? He's missed 2 full seasons with various injuries. So that's like way too much time to miss from basketball. So going to be interesting. Like, just talk about the team as a whole. It's going to be really interesting to see Klay Thompson's return into the Warriors fit overall. Because remember, last time Klay Thompson was on the court, Kevin Durant was still his teammate. So pretty interesting to think about. Well, yeah. Nothing else to say. I mean, Otto, he could be good, but honestly, like even with the Magic, he didn't play like the first 5 games, and then when he did, I think he was able to play 2 games and he got injured or something. So it's just the Otto Porter story. Hopefully in the games where he's healthy, he can help the Warriors, but honestly, I don't see it. It's just, just how Otto Porter is. Then let's get to the Rockets. I kind of talked about Daniel Tice going to the Rockets. I'm happy Daniel Tice is getting paid. He's a great player. Makes sense why the Bulls had to move on from him. I think like it is already decided like the Bulls were picking Thad Young over Daniel Tice. I think they literally said to Daniel Tice that they were parting ways. And again, but we did get like that. The Bulls did get that like trade exception, or again, not even going to act like I know, but for the Rockets, this is going to be a really good signing. You can play Christian Wood at the 4 now, which is his natural position, and then play Daniel Tice at this at the 5 at center. Very good signing. Yeah, he's just a good player. I don't know what else there is to say. Front court of Christian Wood and Daniel Tice is going to be lethal. Then David Nwaba coming back to the Rockets. I don't know. He's just a Rockets player. Makes sense why they signed him. Again, not too much to expect from the Rockets next year. They're the Rockets. They weren't that good last year. I think John Wall is still on the team. So I don't really know what to say about the Rockets. Yeah. Then the Pacers, they signed Torrey Craig and then re-signed TJ McConnell to a 4-year, $35 million contract. I really like the moves that the Pacers have done. TJ McConnell and Torrey Craig were both studs. They did lose Doug McDermott this year, which is really a huge hit for them, and also Bulls legend Dougie. I like these signings though. Torrey Craig was like lighting it up in the finals and the whole playoffs. Like since he got traded to the Suns, that's when I started following him pretty much. So yeah, I mean I like the signing. Bringing back TJ was very important. They might lose, Jakar Sampson, Cassius Stanley, and Amita Brima. I don't know who Amita Brima is, and I only know Cassius Stanley because of his name, pretty much. But yeah, Jakar Sampson. Yeah, I mean, the players who they might lose aren't really gonna let's just say Torrey Craig and TJ McConnell signings extensively make up for the loss of Samson, Stanley, and Brima. And with the full season of Karis LeVert this year, that's going to be very good for the Pacers. They'll be a team to watch again. Clippers. They brought back Nick Batum. Very good. He was amazing for the Clippers. I've always thought he was overhated. It's just the problem was he had like that huge contract with the Hornets, and that's why like people hated on him so much. But he was really good last year. I just remember making that video where like him, Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson were absolutely lighting were lighting the Jazz up. Kawhi I think is coming back. I think they're pretty much just working on a deal to bring him back. Reggie Jackson, though, I believe he's leaving. I forgot what teams he's linked with, but I think he's out. He's trying to get a bag, which I'm very happy for him for. That's going to be a huge loss for the Clippers, honestly. I don't remember him doing too much stuff in the regular season, to be honest, but in the playoffs, like he was a man possessed. He would have been really good for the Clippers to keep this year, especially since I think it looks like I think they announced that Kawhi Leonard like fully or part or something. There was an ACL tear, so he's going to be missing quite a bit of time in this season. I don't think he's going to be missing the whole season, but even like, Reggie Jackson was playing amazing in place, as like, again, off the bench, especially without Kawhi Leonard. Like he was a great offensive output there and a pretty good defense as well. But I think it looks like the Clippers just want to focus on Terrence Mann, maybe get some more role players. Again, I'm recording this video on day 1 of free agency, so quite a lot of stuff can happen from now onwards. So again, this isn't the whole story, but I mean all the big free agent signings have happened, so that's why I'm recording this video now. But yeah, Clippers, I think they have the possibility to run it back. It really depends on when Kawhi Leonard comes back and if Terrence Mann can output or produce that same level of offensive output he did last year, and if they sign some more like good role players in free agency. And now, let's get to the Lakers. You can see a lot of stuff not even fitting on the screen, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I believe you can see everything. Yeah, okay. So I talked about the Russell Westbrook trade. I really didn't like it, honestly. Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, Ken Bazemore, and Dwight Howard. That Westbrook trade, you can clearly see the effects that Westbrook trade had on the team. They're literally signing like the league's oldest players. I seriously don't know what to say. Like, I can go on and on and on about how trading for Russ was a mistake. Like, they definitely should have traded for Buddy instead of Russ. But again, watch my previous video about that. I went over it for like 4 or 5 minutes. The signings of Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, Ken Bazemore, and Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is actually pretty good last year, and he was pretty good on the Lakers too. Kind of crazy how like he posted that tweet about how he's staying in LA, deleted that tweet, signed with the Sixers, and now he's back in LA. Kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, don't know what to say, honestly. Wayne Ellington, Ken Bazemore, again, I saw that Ken Bazemore turned down like way more money from the Warriors to sign with the Lakers, which honestly I think is a mistake because he's, gonna be honest, he's ring chasing with the wrong team. Again, that all stems to my whole talk about Russell Westbrook. And then you can see like their free agents are Schroeder, Drummond, THT, Markieff Morris, Wesley Matthews, Jared Dudley, and Devontae Cacok. Definitely said that wrong. Never heard of him, but Schroeder's definitely gone. Drummond's gone. I think he's trying to get a payday for some reason, even though he was underperforming. How do I say this? He didn't even meet the expectations that is placed on him by signing a Vedman contract. THT, no clue where he's going to go. He probably could sign back. They extended the qualifying offer to him, so yeah. Markieff Morris, he was pretty good for them. Don't really know what to say. He played kind of dirty in the Sun series, if memory serves me right. Don't remember now. Again, all these losses are going to be huge, except for Drummond, because he was literally a black hole on offense and defense. All he does is get rebounds and then just completely kills the team's momentum. Schroeder, he's an okay player, but not when you're having him as the starting point guard, and especially when he's seeking like a 20 million a year contract. Absolutely 100% not worth it. Then they also lost KCP, Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, Ben McLemore, and Kostas Antetokounmpo. Losing Ben McLemore was actually kind of big because he was like, after that Russ trade, he was literally the best shooter on the team, besides Caruso maybe, I'd say. I don't know. Montrezl Harrell too. A lot of Lakers fans like to hate on him, but he's a good center. I think he can turn around in Washington. A backcourt of... Oh, and also I think... Wow, I forgot his name. Yeah, wow, I forgot his name. That's embarrassing. Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant coming back can really like have a Montrezl Harrell, Thomas Bryant, and then Gaff coming off the bench. Backcourt would be really fun to watch. Like having Thomas Bryant at the 4, Montrezl Harrell at the 5, and then Daniel Gafford as a backup to either one of them. KCP and Kuzma too. Like Kuzma, you got to remember... I saw this tweet a little bit ago, and I agree actually. People placed really high expectations on him, acting like he was a like top 10 pick, but he was picked like 26, I think. Again, going to a smaller team, I think he can really turn around. Like that's a lot of things that a lot of players need. Is just literally just change the scenery. You could see that with the Wendell Carter. Like he started playing like really good when he didn't have like the expectations of going to the playoffs on him, right? Yeah, I mean, that trade, like, for the Wizards was good. Then Caruso, again, he was the best he was the best defender on one of the best defensive teams in the league last year. Coming to Chicago, that's huge, and losing him is also, like, really big for the Lakers. But, I mean, they had the option of re-signing him. I think the moment Chicago offered him the contract, his agency called, his team called the Lakers, and they declined it. Kind of crazy. So, yeah, I mean, that losing Caruso is really big. Yeah, losing Caruso is huge. Again, I said this in the Russell Westbrook trade breakdown kind of video, but I truly think that the Lakers will not be able to run it back next year, especially with like the health issues of AD and also LeBron definitely not looking the same at all when he LeBron looking like nothing like his former self after that injury. But hey, LeBron changed his number to 6. That's gonna change everything, right, Lakers fans? Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Let's move on to the Grizzlies. No free agency signings. That Eric Bledsoe, Steven Adams trade. I think they're trying to dump that Eric Bledsoe contract, which makes sense because yikes. They're losing Justice Winslow. I don't really know how much he played last year, considering he has a free agency rank of 62. Guessing not that much, or when he did play, he just didn't play that good. Steven Adams is nothing like his OKC self, but I mean, I guess, I don't know. Don't really know what to say about that trade. I didn't really have any thoughts on it before, and I don't have any thoughts on it now. But they didn't make any free agency signings, so let's move on to the Heat, where they signed Kyle Lowry. Really good. And they also extended, the Duncan Robinson contract too. I'm very happy for him. But yeah, let's talk about this Kyle Lowry sign and trade. I think they called it a sign and trade. I don't think they announced who they traded, so it might not have been definitely not a sign and trade. What am I talking about? He's a UFA. But yeah, they signed Kyle Lowry to a $90 million contract over 3 years, so that's a $30 million cap hit. I like this trade. I mean, they needed a point guard. I think their point guard before was Tyler Hero, right? You cannot win a championship with point guard of Tyler Hero. Plus Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry already have that have chemistry together. Kyle Lowry is the godfather to Jimmy Butler's daughter. I mean, I didn't know that until literally yesterday or day before when Heat fans were spreading Lowry to Heat propaganda. It is pretty much an open secret that Lowry was going to the Heat since yesterday or day before. Really good signing. Yeah, I mean, nothing more to say except, Lowry's just still a good player. I don't know if 3 years for $90 million, I don't know if, 30 million a year is worth it, especially considering he's pretty old now. I don't know how old he is. I'm not going to look it up. But I know he's pretty old. And then PJ Tucker, $7.5 million for 2 years. Good deal. PJ Tucker was clamping KD, and like, he's a good defender. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say except like he was pretty much like he really helped the Bucks win that championship this year. Yeah, I think like he was clamping I think he was clamping DeAndre Ayton too. But I mean, yeah. Then I'm not gonna talk about Gabe Vincent, Max Struss, and Dwayne Dedmon. I like Dwayne Dedmon, but Jimmy Butler getting the max extension. I believe it's $184 million over 4 years, which I'm gonna go off what that salary figure says here is $36 million a year. I am so happy for him. Of course, obviously I miss him on the Bulls, but I mean that trade also got us Zach LaVine, so look at where we are now. And Lauri Markkanen, who we might trade for DeMar DeRozan, which is amazing. Yeah, really proud of him. He was like far and wide the best player on the Heat. He pretty much kept the Heat in like every single game which he was playing. Then Duncan Robinson, $5 years for $90 million total. So that stink is like a $17 million cap hit maybe. I'm doing all this math in my head. I'm not actually typing it in my calculator or anything. But wow, yeah, like it's a huge contract. I believe I read it as the largest contract ever for an undrafted player. $18 million a year. So I think I got it. Pretty cool. Largest contract ever for an undrafted player. Some type of largest contract for an undrafted player, which is really good. And while I'm proud of him, I'm going to be really honest. I don't know if that contract is worth it. Again, proud of him, happy for him. I'm really happy for him. And you know what they say. Don't blame a player for robbing a team of a contract, right? I don't know if this is a robbery of a contract, but I really do think it's an overpay. $18 million a year for someone who really can only shoot. Like he only produces offensive talent. I mean, I really don't know what to say. And then free agents, I think VO, I don't think he's coming back because he is probably asking for too much money for the Heat. Iguodala, I think he's going back to the Warriors, which is pretty fun. Bjelica, I don't know. Udonis Haslem, he's definitely coming back, or he's retiring. Nothing to say there. Like he's a Heat for lifer for sure, Miami for lifer for sure. I don't know who this Omer guy is. So $18,000 a year. Yeah, probably G League guy. Milwaukee Bucks. Don't really know what to say. They lost PJ Tucker, which is huge. Again, pretty much like everything I just said for the Heat about PJ Tucker applies here. Like he was one of the biggest reasons why the Bucks knocked out the Nets, honestly. Like he just absolutely shut down KD. Because like I'm absolutely sure if KD was like had his full unchecked offensive power, he could have absolutely beaten the Bucks on his own. And then Harden came back in game 7, I think. I completely forgot how many games the Bucks eliminated the Nets in, but that last game when Harden came back, I'm sure like that wouldn't have helped the Bucks if PJ Tucker was there, but whatever, I'm digressing kind of. They signed Semi Ojeleye. I don't know how big the contract is, but Semi's a pretty good player. Don't really know what to say there. They re-signed Bobby Portis for 2 years and $9 million, so $4.5 million cap hit. Absolutely love this deal because, again, Bobby Portis, drafted by Chicago legend, got traded after he punched Nico Mirotic, which Nico Mirotic should have been traded, not Bobby. But whatever. He's getting paid. I'm really happy for him. I'm glad he's staying in. Glad like he found a home in Milwaukee. The fans love him there. He loves playing there. Remember, like after the Bucks won, the whole crowd is chanting Bobby. Really happy. Bryn Forbes is a UFA, but I feel like he's coming back, especially if his contract was $2 million this year. I think the Bucks can sign him for like $5 million or something, so that's not that bad. Jeff Teague is also a UFA. Yeah, he's definitely gone. He's not good. Don't know what else to say. Thanasis, again, he didn't play in the finals or like most of the playoffs either. Great bench presence, I guess. His claps and stuff really helped maybe. Justin Jackson, Axel Toupane, don't really know what to say about them. Yeah, let's move on. This video is getting pretty long already. Timberwolves, they lost Ricky Rubio again, kind of sad. But he wasn't that good this year, so whatever. Losing him wasn't that big a deal. And then Taurean Prince got traded to them. He's a solid player. Oh, it is Ricky Rubio for Torian Prince. Don't know what it is. Whatever. Torian Prince is a pretty good player. Don't really know how he did on the Cavs this year. I know I was kind of following him when he was on the Nets, but really forgot how he was. Honestly, yeah. Let's move on to the Pelicans. Kind of already talked about Sato and Temple. Temple's a pretty good player. He was like inconsistent for the Bulls, but I think if he if he can keep, he's a good veteran presence again, especially considering how young the Pelicans team is. Zion is the most tenured player on that team, or longest tenured player on the team, whatever. Not the youngest, but I mean they still have a really young core, like Brendan Ingram, again Zion. I was gonna say Lonzo, but he came to Chicago. Yeah. Again, Jonas Valanciunas. The addition of Jonas Valanciunas is amazing. He's a clear upgrade from he just in all shapes, all. Don't forgot the actual idiom or whatever figure of speech, but in all yeah, he's just better than Steven Adams in every possible way. Sato, I mean, he was okay for the Bulls. He had some good games, but honestly, he was our starting point guard for half the season, especially Kobe got benched for a little bit. I didn't like him as a starting point guard, but I mean, hey, he can possibly find some success in New Orleans, right? Especially with I'm going to talk about right now, Devontae Graham. He's a really good player. Hornets had to let him go pretty obviously, or obviously why, because LaMelo Ball, right? I think it is a sign and trade, but I don't know who they gave away. I could be wrong about that, but I mean, he was an RFA, I think, because the Hornets extended the qualifying offer to him. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be like a good backcourt pairing of, I don't know if Sato's starting. I forgot the Pelicans roster, I'm going to be honest. Oh, there's Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But Sato being there, he's a veteran. I think maybe he can help mentor Vontae maybe a little, and also he can help mentor Vontae and also maybe Nickeil Alexander-Walker too. I think he's entering his second or third year in the league now. He's really young, so again, Valanciunas, Garrett Temple, Sato, on top of being pretty good players, they can also really help develop the really young team of the Pelicans. Now on to the Knicks. Oof. I really don't like that Evan Fournier signing. The people they brought back, however, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, played very well for the Knicks. I was talking about Derrick Rose earlier when I was talking about the Bulls. Great player. He was pretty much he was pretty much the only player who showed up in the Knicks playoff series against the Hawks. I'm going to be honest. It is pretty much just him against the entire Hawks team. Randall disappeared. RJ Barrett disappeared. Ntilikina disappeared. That's the only name that came to my head. Kevin Knox, I don't even know if he played. We're looking at these free agents. I mean, again, day one, so I don't know if they're leaving. Hopefully they can bring some people back, like Alfred Payton. I know a lot of Knicks fans turned on him because he's not that good a player, but he still has some kind of defense, right? Same with Taj Gibson. He was our starting center. Really need them back, and plus, if Taj gets a paycheck, then I'm happy because, again, Bulls. I grew up with that 2010-2011 team. Norvel Pelle, too, I think he'd be a pretty good player that they need to keep, but not necessary. Then this Evan Fournier signing, very, very steep. $78 million for 4 years. I think that's a huge cap hit. That's nearing $20 million a year. $19.5 million a year. I think crazy contract, but honestly, it's a steep contract, but if you look at it, Evan Fournier is in every sense better than Reggie Bullock. So, I mean, while it may be a steep contract, it's a classic Knicks move, I'm going to be honest. I think looking at next season, or Evan Fournier for sure is going to help the team, but I really don't know if if the Knicks themselves are going to be that good next year. We saw how Julius Randle performed in the playoffs last year. I don't know how that happened, but players tend to play better in the playoffs, not worse. But I don't know if that is like because of crowds or so. I saw a theory talking about like how the crowds coming back really affected how Julius Randle played. And I'm gonna be honest, that theory kind of makes sense. So again, we gotta wait until next year to see if like Julius Randle, if last season was just a fluke or that's how he plays now, because he did win Most Improved Player. He was really good last year in the regular season. So hopefully he turns it around. I'm really happy that Derrick Rose got a 40. He got a bag. 43 years for $3 million. That's like a. I think that's gonna be about that. That comes out to like a $12 million cap hit maybe. 14.3. Happy for him. He deserves it. Again, I really wish he came back to Chicago, but I mean, he's been performing really well in New York. I understand why he stayed. I heard that the Bulls were in talks with the Rose before they signed Caruso, so I think they may have offered Derrick Rose the same contract that the Knicks offered him, but or that not that the Knicks offered him, that they offered Alex Caruso, but I'm guessing he didn't give a hometown discount or anything, as he should. Amazing player, like been really good this year. Let's move on to the Thunder. I think I talked about no, I didn't talk about the Kemba Walker trade or Derek Favors. I don't know who they traded Derek Favors for. Did they get him in the Kemba trade? Completely forgot, but don't really know what to say about it. I mean, a lot of Thunder fans hate Kemba. But I think they're going to do the same thing that they did with Chris Paul in 2019, 2020, which is like bring him there, turn him around, and then hopefully raise his trade value, get some picks or something out of it. I don't really know what to say. Those are all trades. I want to talk about free agency. And the big Thunder free agency story is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting a max contract or max rookie extension with the Thunder. I am so happy for him. Shai is one of my favorite players in the league right now. He deserves it, absolutely. Don't know what else to say. He's just an amazing player. He's so talented. He's so good. Don't really know what else to say. I'm really happy for him. Hopefully the picks and like whatever the Thunder is doing comes up soon, because I really want to see Shai succeed in the league. Let's move on to the Magic. Nothing. All right. I think there were some rumors that Wendell Carter was going to get a pretty big extension. I think they were talking about a max extension, which is like very steep. I don't think Wendell deserves it. I kind of like him. Yeah, like Wendell Carter Jr. is a talented player, but he's definitely not max contract worthy. Again, wasn't signed. I don't really know if it is true or not. Again, they're a rebuilding team, losing James Ennis, Mo Wagner, Sindarius Thornwell, Ignaz Brazdeikis, or Chasson Randall. Don't know who Randall is, but I know the other four. Losing them won't be that big because they're rebuilding. Like, they're completely rebuilding. Remember, they traded their entire team away on the trade deadline. That's why the Bulls have Vooch. So, yeah, nothing to talk about. Let's go on to the Sixers. They re-signed Furkan Korkmaz and lost Dwight Howard. I don't know if I think Mike Scott is not going to be there. I don't know if Danny Green is coming back, but we'll see. I mean, I was hearing rumors he's going to go back to the Lakers, but honestly, everyone's linked with the Lakers because they're the Lakers, LeBron. Yeah, I mean, the Korkmaz re-signing is good. He was a good player for them last year. I think we got to wait longer to see what they do, especially with Ben Simmons' future on the line, because I think, correct me if I'm, this isn't a live stream or anything, but I mean, pretty sure like the Sixers are done with Ben Simmons, so seeing what happens there is going to be really fun. It's not really free agency news, but I mean, Sixers' future isn't going to be determined by free agency this year. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be determined by Ben Simmons. So, yeah, I mean, they got all their good players locked down anyways. I think Tobias Harris is still under contract. Joel Embiid is still under contract. Dwight Howard unfortunately left because he was pretty good. He absolutely He absolutely killed the Bulls when Joel Embiid was out, and yeah, Dwight Howard is starting. So kind of a big loss, but I mean, really, wasn't making that much either. So yeah, I mean, don't know what to say. I think Danny Green might come back. I don't know any other team was willing to pick up that contract, and I think Sixers still had the cap space. So let's go on to the Phoenix Suns. They picked up Landry Shamet in that trade. Landry Shamet is a good player, not as good as Javon Carter. I really don't know why the Suns made that trade. I honestly think Javon Carter is better, but I mean, the fact that they gave up Javon Carter and a pick is kind of weird to me. They signed JaVale McGee, which is huge. I actually really like that signing. He can, again, just a really good backup center for DeAndre Ayton. Because I think DeAndre Ayton is pretty much the only center that they had besides Frank Kaminsky, but I don't think he played a single minute in the finals. So, yeah, nothing else to say. Like, JaVale McGee's still a good center. I'm watching the Team USA game right now. I don't think he's not on the court, but if not a good player, he's also just a really funny guy to watch and stuff. And plus, they signed him to a $5 million cap hit. It's a good deal. Campaign $19 million for 3 years. I am so happy for him. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I hated him when he was on the Bulls, but also I hated like every single thing the Bulls did then, because those years were really dark. But I'm really happy that he's succeeding. I'm really happy that he got that payday. He did so good for the Suns last year and this year, especially in the finals. He's been amazing. He really deserves this. And then Chris Paul, 4 years for $120 million. Ugh. Okay, listen. I really like Chris Paul. Chris Paul is also one of my favorite players in the league. He's, besides Derrick Rose, he's been like the only player that I've followed from the beginning. Like, the 3 players who got me into basketball were Kobe Bryant, Derrick Rose, and Chris Paul. So, I really like him. But 4 years for $120 million is so steep, especially considering I believe Chris Paul is going to be 41 when that contract ends. $30 million a year for a very old Chris Paul is completely not worth it. Like, he's good now, right? He was really good this year, except in the playoffs, or especially in the finals. Like, I think he was injured, so I'm going to give him a pass. But, like, in the finals, he was not doing that good, except in Game 6. But, like, $30 million, he's not sustaining this level of I am going to eat crow. I'm going to, like, if I'm I'm definitely doing YouTube in 3 years, but if Chris Paul is still sustaining this level of success in 3 years, I will come back to this video and I will like absolutely make fun of myself. I'm just going to say it now. But I don't think he will. He's old. Like, that's all you have to say about it. Like, you can see LeBron, he's aging, and like you can finally see the effect of how old he is now, especially with that injury, right? I don't think Chris Paul is going to get injured, especially considering we saw like how he suffered a major injury and came back at like the same level of productivity. But you just can't sustain that level. Just can't sustain that level of basketball for 4 more years at this point, especially when you're 41. Like, respect to Chris Paul, because he's now set for the next 4 years. No matter how he plays, he's set for the next 4 years. So I get why he signed it. He declined his $44 million player option because of this. So I get why. I get why Chris Paul wanted that contract. I guess I get why the Suns paid that contract, because they really wanted him. I think Chris Paul really wanted a long-term contract because, at this age, you want as much stability as you can get. Yeah, not much else to say, though. You take a look at their UFAs here. Frank Kaminsky, Twan Moore, Abdel Nader, Langston Galloway didn't really make too much of an impact on the Suns last year, especially Kaminsky. Like, he missed the entire finals, right? Losing Javon Carter and Torrey Craig are huge. They were performing. I don't think I saw much of Javon Carter last year, or at least in the finals, but like, he's a really good defensive player. It must have been injured, honestly. I sound like such a casual, but I watched every game of the finals and I didn't really see much of Javon Carter, if I remember correctly. Let me check. Yeah, okay, he only played 7 games in the playoffs, but I mean, he's a really good defensive player. Losing him is huge. Same with Torrey Craig. He was like doing all types of stuff in the finals last year. So yeah, pretty big losses, but I mean, Landry Shamet and JaVale McGee, they're pretty good pickups. Cameron Payne, very happy he got that extension, and Chris Paul, happy he's still. I'm really happy he's still in Phoenix, because there were some rumors he was going to go to Lakers, but honestly, after that Russ trade, who are the Lakers going to get? Yeah, nothing else to say. Chris Paul contract is huge, but makes sense why. Now the Trailblazers picked up Cody Zeller and Ben McLemore, re-signed Norman Powell. Free agents, the only one I'm really sad about is Carmelo Anthony, honestly. And then Zach Collins left to San Antonio. I'm going to kind of rapid fire through these last few ones because I'm at 50 minutes of recording now, and I'm actually talking like sense for all of them, so I'm probably not going to edit anything out, honestly. But Cody Zeller, I know Woj tweeted what his contract, like how much money he was making, but don't really remember how much now. But I mean, he's an okay center. Very disappointing in Charlotte. Maybe he can be good. Backing up Yusuf Nurkic, maybe. And then Ben McLemore, I think he might come in and try to take over. What's his name? Slowly but surely take over CJ McCollum's reps, especially considering how badly CJ McCollum stunk it up in the playoffs last year. Um, yeah, Norman Powell getting the extension, very happy for him. He's a good player, deserved. Yeah, Ben McLemore's a good shooter, and then Norman Powell too. I'm happy he got that contract. Losing Zach Collins, I don't think that's too much of a big loss. Like, he barely played last year. He's very injury prone. But San Antonio looks like they're going full rebuild at this point. I think like the Pop glory days are finally. I mean, after 20 years are over at this point. So yeah, and then as for their free agents, Enes Kanter, not that good. Carmelo Anthony, hope he stays. I really liked him on Portland. Like, that team was the perfect fit for him. Yeah, Melo's a good fit for the Trailblazers. I really liked him there, but I mean, if he gets a paycheck, I'm gonna be really happy for him. But I think he's gonna go back to Portland, honestly. Rondé Hollis Jefferson, didn't really see much of him last year. I think he's pretty good on defense. I don't know. Harry Giles, TJ Leaf, Keldon, Blevins, don't really know much about. Don't know enough about to talk about. Let's go into the Sacramento Kings. Oh my, so many more to go through actually. They picked up Tristan Thompson in that trade. Signed Alex Len, kind of overpaid. Re-signed Richaun Holmes. Big contract, but it's kind of funny seeing every single fan base in the league cry. Re-signed Mo Harkless. Terrence Davis, Hassan Whiteside, Kyle Guy are all free agents. I think Terrence Davis, did he leave? No, I don't think he did. It wouldn't have showed up here. But they lost DeLon Wright. He was playing pretty good, but it's pretty much a rental for them. Like, he was only there for half a season, so not too much of an impact assessment can be made on that. That Tristan Thompson pickup is okay. I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't want to get bogged down in this trade. San Antonio Spurs, they pick up Doug McDermott and Zach Collins. I'm very happy that Doug McDermott got a paycheck. He's, again, Bulls legend. Zach Collins, again, I talked about earlier, he's injury prone, not really that big of a loss. DeMar DeRozan, he's a UFA, but the Bulls and Spurs have been in talks with Lowry Markkanen going to the Spurs, so I don't know what to say. Rudy Gay, it sounds like he's going to take the minimum and he might go to the Lakers. Again, add to the Lakers retirement home team. Patty Mills, don't really know. I don't remember how well he played in the league, but he's been lighting it up in the Olympics. Daquan Jeffries, Kendari, Weatherspoon, Kaida Bates-Diop. Don't know enough about them to make a comment on. Yeah. Losing Trey Lyles and Gorgie Jang is kind of significant, but honestly, they're pretty much going to full rebuilding mode. I don't think that it's going to be that big a deal that they're gone now. Raptors, nothing much. They re-signed Gary Trent Jr., deserved. Lost Kyle Lowry, pretty big loss, but I mean, who do they draft? Scotty Barnes, I think. I don't really know what's happening, but yeah. Like, Raptors, I think they can still be good, but they're not gonna go back to the finals, honestly. Jazz, nothing too much. Re-signed Mike Conley. Yeah, he deserves that. He deserves a contract. 3 years for $68 million is kind of steep, but again, Utah is like pretty much the biggest example of the small market curse, where they had to people are saying overpay for Rudy Gobert when he signed that extension. Like, they had to do that to keep him, otherwise he would have went to a big market probably. Georges Niang, Ersan Ilyasova, Matt Thomas, Gerald Brantley, Trent Forrest, Juwan Morgan are all their free agents. I think they really should try to re-sign Niang, but besides that, I don't really know who else would really do that. Wizards, nothing besides a trade with KCP, Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell. Pick up Aaron Holiday. Oh wait, no. They added Spencer Dinwiddie, which I don't know why it's not show. I don't think the contract details came up, but pretty much confirmed. Dinwiddie is a really good pickup. He was good for the Nets before when KD was injured, and then he got injured this past year. He's gonna be good for the Wizards. He's pretty much there as a replacement for Russ, right? So yeah, pretty good deal. I don't know how they're gonna do. The return of Thomas Bryant is going to be good. And then their free agents, you can see here, Ishmael Smith. I don't know much about him. Robin Lopez, I don't think he played that good for the Wizards. Raul Nato, don't think he's okay. Garrison Matthews, Isaac Bonga, Cassius Winston, don't know about them. And that is it. Wow. Super long video. We're reaching an hour. I don't know what else to say. Like, this free agency has been crazy so far, and we're only on day 1. But honestly, after this first day, I don't think anything's really gonna happen. A lot of like delusional fans around the league are trying to make a case for like why Kawhi's gonna go to their team, but I don't think it's happening. What else to say? I have nothing else to say. Pretty much, like, spit out everything for every single team. I did promise I was gonna keep it short, and I guess technically, considering I covered every single NBA team, I kind of did. Like only giving 2 minutes per video, 2 minutes per team. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of fun recording this. It did take a while, and I had some work to do, which is woo. But yeah, I mean, super long video. I'm gonna put like timestamps, and I'm gonna try to put timestamps in the description for like when I start talking about each team. So like if you want to skip ahead to your team, then do that. No point in telling you now though, because this is the end of the video. Whatever. Been recording for a while. Hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna upload this raw 57-minute video. Hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna try to upload more consistently, but I'm gonna be gone for a couple of days. I'm going out to flying out. Not gonna say where. But yeah, flying out. Not gonna be home, so I won't be able to record any videos for like 4 or 5 days from Tuesday to Sunday. Not Tuesday, Wednesday to Sunday. Hope you enjoyed. This is a lot of stuff, but yeah, fun recording this. Free agency's crazy. Happy the Bulls got Alonzo and Caruso, and I will see you in the next one. Woo.